Hello, I'm Playwright Bruce Graham, and here for Florida Studio Theater with the number one question that all playwrights are asked eventually: where do you get your ideas? First of all, inspiration is vastly overrated, okay? Do not think a lightning bolt is going to strike you and you're going to come out and write a brilliant play. Newton and Copernicus, their inspiration came from accidents, according to legends, sliding down a bathtub and getting hit in the head with an apple. So inspiration is vastly overrated. As a kid, and it helps if you're obsessed to go into this business, as a kid, I was fascinated, besides sports and fishing, with how people spoke, which meant I started a lifelong habit of eavesdropping, which used to drive my girlfriend, now my wife, crazy because I would be eavesdropping when we'd be out to dinner. However, some of the best dialogue I have ever written came from other people. More on this later. This is a scene from my play, Any Given Monday. By the way, I will be using a lot of my plays. Why? Because I can tell you where the ideas came from on my plays. I wouldn't dare do it on someone else's plays. First of all, when you're starting out, you have to devour plays. You have to know what plays are and see what ideas other writers used. You can't develop your idea until you learn your craft, which means a lot of reading plays. I actually would get on my bike and go to the library, read every play in my local library, and then get on my bike and go to the next library. That's kind of the weird kid I was. Find playwrights you like. Find role models. Great quote from actor Walter Matthau: you steal from everyone until you find a style of your own. I'm living proof of that. My first ideas came from other playwrights. Here we have Lillian Hellman, Tennessee Williams, and Neil Simon, three playwrights who I would say were influential on me. And I know it's not cool to say you like Neil Simon, but I do. So when I began writing, Robert Anderson's I Never Sang for My Father became Bruce Graham's Berkey. We will talk more on family a little later. John Guare's House of Blue Leaves becomes my Early One Evening at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. I was fascinated with the Broadway production of Equus back when I was in college. Wow, the way the scenes move, the fantastic imagery, all this crazy stuff, which I had never done in my plays. So I sat down and wrote Minor Demons. So this is where I started out, looking at playwrights and plays I liked. And I wasn't plagiarizing, but I was looking at the style, looking at what worked, looking at what didn't. Don't plagiarize. Pay homage. This is not exactly a play. It was a television play, then a movie called Marty, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Marty, 1955, becomes Stella and Lou, which is basically Marty 40 years later. In other words, I found a project I loved. How can I do my own version of it? For you Cheers fans, that's Rhea Perlman in the Chicago production. Hallmark. I did a lot of work at Hallmark. They called me up. They need a Christmas movie. Okay, well, I just don't sit at my desk. I walk the dog, and I blended two movies I always liked. The night before, I had watched The Goodbye Girl, and there's an old Robert Mitchum, Janet Leigh Christmas movie called A Holiday Affair. I took kind of things from both those, blended them together, and got this. So without these, I would never have had this idea. And it's not plagiarizing, believe me. I changed enough so they can't sue me. So, rule number one, find a play or playwright and pay homage. Rule number two, look to your own life. This should actually probably be rule one, but I didn't feel like correcting the PowerPoint. Your own life, believe me, is filled with experiences and tension and anger and conflict and romance, and most importantly, characters. What do Williams, Miller, Hellman, Hansberry, and Graham, I put myself in there, have in common? That's Raising in the Sun and All My Sons. We all start with our families. Again, this is my play Berkey, which is my first professionally produced play. This is a revival. Why? Why do we start with our families? Well, you know them, hopefully, and there's always some conflict. If you have lived in a house with other people your whole life and there's no conflict, you're lying, or your family is on some serious medication. I don't know. This is Little Foxes, Lillian Hellman, and Subject Was Roses, two really good family plays. Why else? You got good characters and chance chances are they won't sue you, okay? This is from The Outgoing Tide. Frasier fans might recognize John Mahoney, Frasier's dad there, which I think is one of my best plays, and it deals with a family having to cope with a father with dementia. Autobiographical? A tad bit, and that's what I think makes it one of my best plays. But great characters. Eugene O'Neill, and if you're not familiar with Eugene O'Neill, you should be if you want to write plays, wrote one of the greatest American plays of all time, Long Day's Journey into Night. He writes it near the end of his life, and it was so personal to him and so autobiographical, he didn't want it produced until 25 years after his death. Now that is really using your family. Of course, his widow needed money, so 5 years after his death it was produced. But still, to him, no, he didn't want to see this play while he was alive. It is cliche, totally cliche, but like some cliches are true. Write what you know. This is the off-Broadway production of my play Belmont Avenue Social Club. I grew up in Philly here. I belonged to a couple of social clubs with the pool tables and the bad-smelling men's rooms and the dirty floors. I wrote what I knew. Again, one of my better plays. Rule 3, go out and look around. Don't sit in your room waiting for a story. Stories are everywhere. This is an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer years ago about an autograph hound. And this guy was everywhere. He would come backstage at my plays and ask for my autograph. He was really weird. So they wrote an article about him. PBS calls me and says, we'd love to do monologues around town. Pick a spot and write a monologue. So I went to the Academy of Music. I pulled this out of my file. Bang. I wrote a monologue about an autograph hound, and it ended up on television. I keep a folder, I wish I could show it to you, in my office of yellow, deteriorating newspaper clippings. Now I can just bookmark them on the computer, but I couldn't back then. So I have a folder of ideas. So you read newspapers. Well, if you can still find a newspaper. Angry neighbors just want the crap to stop. Again, PBS comes to me. This time they want a half-hour bill. This is a story that I cut out because it's about a little old lady who every day in South Philly feeds the pigeons out front. Oh, that's nice. No, her neighbors come out and their cars are covered and their front steps are covered with the leavings of the pigeons. So you say, all right, tell the old lady to stop. But the old lady is very poor, she's in bad health, and this is the only joy she gets all day. So the neighbors want to do the right thing, but they want something to happen. That's where, if you train yourself as a dramatist, you find the drama in an article like this. Everybody's trying to do the right thing. Everybody's kind of sympathetic, and yet there's still a conflict. You can't make this stuff up. At least I can't. Here's one. I still haven't written this play. Diocese disclaims Virgin Mary visions. This took place in South Jersey, where these people were saying the Virgin Mary was appearing in their swimming pool. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the people who live next door and have to deal with it. I thought there might be a comedy here. Have I written it? No, but it's still in the folder there. Someday I'm sitting around, I'm totally blocked. Let's go through the folder. Maybe I'll try this one. So I have the ideas there if I ever need them. And believe me, sometimes I have. Now, this is the best one. From this article on death row, an editor struggles with obituaries, I leapt up from my chair, ran to the kitchen, got scissors, cut this out, immediately wrote to this guy, James Beathard, on death row. From this one article came a lot of productions of my play Coyote on a Fence, and most importantly, I made it to London's West End. I'd never made it to Broadway here, but I made it to London's West End. Why did I make it there? Because of this article. So don't feel that, oh my God, I have to sit down and think of something. The stories are there. Just make sure you have scissors. Off in this. Rule number 4, and this is one of my favorites, and that's play God. You're a playwright. You can do anything you want in your world. You're the boss, okay? Someone in real life you don't like, a boyfriend, a girlfriend dumped you, a boss you hate, you base a character on them. My play Early One Evening in the Rainbow Bar and Grill has a list of people. A guy named Willie comes in who wants to kill in town. It's a comedy. That whole list of names were members of the Rose Tree Media School Board. I was a school teacher and fighting with them at the time. So I just put their names in a play and I killed them. Put your feelings on paper. It's cheaper than analysis. This is from my play Desperate Affection. My wife and I had just had a daughter, And I was always been upset when I see women, children, dogs, I like dogs, who get abused. And this was a play about a woman who was allowing herself to be in an abusive relationship. I was angry about that, so I wrote a play. Look at what gets you angry. This is from my play, White Guy on the Bus. Boy, there's lots of anger in that play. What are you passionate about? This is a one-man show I wrote called The Philly Fan that ran off and on for 14 years. And basically it was just me, only played by Tom McCarthy here, as an irate Philadelphia sports fan. If you're a Philadelphia sports fan, it's easy to be passionate and irate. If you could change anything, what would it be? This is from my play Sanctions, about the abuse of athletes in the college situation and how it corrupts the system so that they can pass and get away with murder and all this stuff. If you could change anything, is my play going to change anything? Highly doubtful, but it may make people think, and it also gets me to unburden stuff that bothers me. That's where some ideas come from. If you don't like the way things are going, change it. You have the power. This is from my play Gary that just opened last year, where I can't stand this whole Siri and Alexa thing. If you're too damn lazy to get up and turn the lights on yourself, you deserve to, die on your couch, I guess. I don't own one. I've just seen the commercials on TV. And so this play was about when Siri and Alexa take over the world and humans become obsolete. Number 5, look at history. There's lots of good stories in history. One of my favorite plays of all time is based on the Scopes trial on Her at the Wind. Great drama, really great drama. This is my one foray into actual history called The Craftsman. It wasn't my idea. I'd never even heard of this story till the artistic director pitched it to me and commissioned it. But it's a good story. What you have to remember, though, is nobody goes to the theater for a history lesson. Nobody goes to the theater for a lecture. We don't like that. So you have to pick an incident that resonates with today's audience. This is from my play, Something Intangible, loosely based on the Disney brothers making Fantasia. When history works, you use it. When it doesn't, you adjust it. You compress it. But you can use the story as a catalyst for your ideas. Make sure you care about the characters. This is from my play Funny Man, loosely based on Bert Lahr, better known as the Cowardly Lion. And again, for Cheers fans, that's George Wendt there. But I had characters that the audience cared about. It doesn't necessarily have to be all the characters. If you're going to write something from a historical perspective, make sure that we can identify with the characters. Rule 6, brainstorm. You should do this for anything. If you're taking a final, if you're going for a job interview, whatever, brainstorm. Write down every idea, no matter how stupid. Look at it this way. You write down 50 ideas. 40 of them are stupid. That still leaves you with 10 good ideas. And what did it take? 5 minutes and some ink. Write them all down. This is a handy cocktail napkin. That is one of my outlines. If I die in the middle of it, nobody, Indiana Jones could not decipher these hieroglyphics. However, out of that cocktail napkin came a sequel. These are the notes. Here's the sequel. Now, the sequel did not get made. I got paid. Casting problems. Who cares? Out of this, I made some money. When you are putting your idea together, don't worry about organizing it. Don't feel you have to have the outline with the Roman numerals and the capital letters, all right? Here's a page from an early version of my play, Outgoing Tide. A rewrite page. I crossed this out. I added this over here. Page 11A means I have a page 11A over here to add dialogue. Get them down. Get your ideas down. All right, enough of the rules. General thoughts. You never start a project, a play especially, without some sort of map. I liken it to say, I'm in Philadelphia and I'm going to California. I don't know if I'm going to Los Angeles, San Diego, or San Francisco. I just know the general direction my play is going in. So I do have some sort of outline. If you're going to write a 2-act play, there are no 3-act plays, make sure you know where the act break is. You don't want to start a play without knowing where the act break is. And you want a general ending. Doesn't have to be specific. You have to know whether it's happy, whether it's sad, whether the lovers are reunited, whether one of them dies, whatever. You should have a general knowledge when you start your play. My own personal opinion, broaden your horizons. Don't hang out with just other writers. There's nothing worse than a room full of writers. Believe me, I've been in the writer's room in television. Okay. For one thing, you're just going to know about writing. My best friends, I've used them in a lot of plays. One used to paint cars for a living. The other worked in a Subway, not the sandwich place, the actual Subway. Those stories are a lot more interesting than listening to other writers. So hang out with some different people. Immerse yourself in the world of your play. Let me explain. Research. Immerse yourself in the research because research gives you ideas. Let research come up with the ideas for you. I'm researching the play I'm writing for Florida Studio right now. And I'm finding all these weird little tidbits about small towns in Pennsylvania. They're going right into the play. In my career, I have had to become a mini expert on death row. This is one of James Beathard's letters to me. As you can see, they're pretty intense. And I used a lot of them in the play. With his blessing, he gave it a good review. Dolphins, aircraft carriers, drag racing. That was the worst 2 days of my life. The skeletal system of a reindeer for a Christmas movie I wrote for CBS. The Russian Revolution for Anastasia. Orangutans for Dunstan Checks In. My first research gave me the Latin name, Pongo pygmaeus. If you can't get a cheap laugh in a kid's movie with Pongo pygmaeus, get out of the business. But without it, without the research, I wouldn't have had it. Walk through the set even if you know it really well. When I was writing Berkey, of course, my family play, I went back and I sat in my parents' living room. Now, I grew up in that living room, but I never sat there as a playwright. And now I'm finding things, little things, like a pillow with a burnt hole in it from where my uncle dropped his pipe at Thanksgiving, but my mother wouldn't throw away the pillow. Weird stuff like that, and it went in the play. Now, no one says, oh, it's a play about a burnt pillow. No, but it makes you feel like you're sitting in somebody's real living room. It gives it texture. The bottom picture there is from Dunstan Checks In. I had to write a scene that took place in a restaurant kitchen. I went into the actual kitchen on a Saturday, wrote the scene on Sunday, we shot it on Monday. But I couldn't have written it sitting in my hotel room. I needed to see what the orangutan could do, what gags I could come up with. And of course, you don't write a play like Coyote and a Fence without going to a couple prisons. And after I wrote it, I got to go to a lot of death rows. That's fun. When you're putting your idea together, don't worry about what other people may think. Your mom, your friends, and especially critics. This is a review of my first play off Broadway. Berkey Dies. I love it. I actually kind of agree with the review. It wasn't a good production. Writing's tough enough. Don't talk about it. Just do it, because somebody's always going to have, some criticism, or you're going to think it feels stupid as you're jotting down your ideas. Never write scared. Don't worry about what others think. You don't write a play like Coyote and a Fence or Belmont Avenue Social Club or White Guy in the Bus, which are these pictures of, without knowing you're going to get some people angry. You're, going to get some hate mail. Believe me, I've gotten some hate mail. Always badly spelled, too. Those people cannot spell. Don't write scared. Observation. This is what I was going to talk about earlier, about stealing from your friends. The secret to writing comedy is to hang out with funny people who don't write. My best friend who works in the Subway, this is a character I based on him, the New York production of Any Given Monday. 90% of what he said came right out of my buddy's mouth, and the audience roared. It wasn't my idea, it was his stuff. Do not get discouraged, because it always needs a rewrite. That first draft you kick out with your ideas when they're brimming and you're real happy with yourself. I didn't know this picture was being taken. That's me in the background there, my wife and my producer, during the first reading of Any Given Monday. And clearly there was something I didn't like. They sent me the picture the next day and I said, okay, let's use this in class. When you're starting out, always have a third eye. Don't feel you can direct this yourself. Don't feel that it's perfect the way it is. This is B.J. Jones, artistic director at Northlight, with whom I've worked a lot, who has really smart dramaturgical ideas. You want to work with smart people who want to help your play, who want to take your ideas, finesse them a little bit, ask questions, and challenge you a little bit. What if you're blocked? We all get blocked. Don't sit in your room. Do not sit at your desk. Do what I do. Something mundane. You cut the lawn, walk the dog, take a shower, drive the car. I always have a pad or a tape recorder in the car with me. So if you sit there beating yourself over the head because you don't have an idea, guess what? You're not going to get one. Put it out of your head. Do something else. Listen to music, whatever. Do not wait for the idea to hit you, because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to hit you. You go out and you look around. Look to people you know, just reviewing here, okay, as we wind up. Again, this is Outgoing Tide. Know the world of the play. This is from According to Goldman. This is Gavin Miller's living room. This is my living room. I knew the world of this play pretty well. Research, 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 research. Don't write a play about people on death row unless you talk to people on death row, unless you research it like crazy. Get angry or passionate about what you're writing. My co-author of my textbook, Michelle Volansky, a very brilliant dramaturg, once said to me, your best plays are the ones you had to write. Genius. 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Thomas Edison, who, by the way, was a total crook and stole a lot of ideas, and don't glamorize the guy. He's kind of scummy. But it's a good quote. And that brings us to the end. That's how you do it. That's how you get ideas. Don't wait for them, go look for them, and then play with them. For Florida Studio Theater, this is Bruce Graham. Enjoy writing.